Good evening, folks. Welcome to the Captain Logan Show. It's me, Captain Logan. And joining this evening is my fantabulous chat moderator, producer, and sleeveless guy, DJ Martinez.
Hey!
Good evening, sir.
Hey! Hey! What's going on?
DJ, I think, is concerned that since it's a slow news week and we don't have a lead-in topic tonight, he's got to pad the show in every way possible.
Oh, if you need awkward, lengthy, uncomfortable pauses, I am your guy.
Yeah, you're not even leading in with pauses. You're like, at the end of every sentence, I'm just going to pick a syllable and hang on it.
Yeah.
Hang on it. It's just going to be DJ the rest of the evening. How's it going, everybody? Thanks a lot for being here on an obligatory Thursday show. Excited to do a Captain Logan show for you, but we didn't have any real exciting news or anything to talk about. I was kind of racking my brain for a cool topic, and I've been wanting to do another of these themed question shows. We've done a few Would You Rathers. Thought about bringing that back. It's actually surprising how long it's been since we've done that, DJ. I don't think we've done one in the 200s. I think the last one we did was in like the late 100s in the show. So I thought about doing that. Maybe we'll do that again sometime soon. And we did a what if show not too long ago. So this one all of a sudden came to me. It's almost like an in-between kind of thing. What would you do if? So it's like a what if, but it's from the first person perspective. So I want all questions tonight to be within that format, with the exception of Patreon questions, which we didn't get to last week, so I thought we'd go ahead and knock those out at the beginning of the show. We only had 3 so far for the month, and if you're on the quick plug for Patreon, if you are already a patron and you'd like to make sure that your question gets heard, regardless of being at the show when we broadcast live, you can leave a question every month on the post that I put out there, and if we run out, I'll put out another one, and you have an opportunity to ask even more than the one potentially. Usually we get quite a few. Right now we've just got the 3, so I thought we'd go ahead and knock those out. Did you get them? I just sent them to you, DJ. I forgot to tell you about this.
Gotcha.
Cool, he's got that. Flying by the seat of my pants, as always. So that will be the exception. That will effectively be the lead-in topic tonight. Regular questions from Patreon, and then we'll get into this what would you do questions. So they can be like desert island sorts of scenarios. They can be big fantastic kinds of situations. They can be ethical conundrums. Whatever you happen to think of, make them geeky if you can, but they don't necessarily have to be. And I'll pick DJ's brain and kind of see what he would do with things as well. And you guys feel free when we get a question to put in interesting responses, and we'll read some of those as well. So we'll just kind of play around with different situations and see what cool solutions to problems. Hopefully they're not mathematical in nature, because I'm not any good at math, come up. Once again, appreciate you being here. Thanks for watching live if you're doing that. Thanks for watching after the fact as well. Quick plug for tomorrow night's whopping 2-movie commentary set. We're doing a double feature for both X2 and Daredevil. It's the 20th anniversaries of both of those films, and I thought it would be really interesting to watch them together. We're cheating on this a little bit because it's the 20th anniversary of Daredevil, but the director's cut was released a couple or 3 years later after that, but we're gonna do that one instead because that's the one that has, a story. So we had thought about doing the theatrical version. I think the last time I did a commentary on that movie, this is how long I've been doing this. Now it's not even the other commentary I did. It's the last time I did a commentary on major superhero movies. This happens, and even sometimes not major ones. We have multiple commentaries on more than a few superhero movies now. So in the words of Nightcrawler, quite a few. So tomorrow night, we're going to, I think, start with X2. That's the one that has a little bit more meat to the story, so if we're not as with it later on with Daredevil, it's probably not as big of a deal. But we're going to do those back-to-back. We're going to start at 9 o'clock Central Time is the plan right now. Join us for that if you're so inclined. It's going to be a lot of fun for the Superhero Rewind Commentary Project. We're doing those every couple of weeks. Sometimes we do 2 movies like this Usually it's just the one, but we're gonna go well into the night tomorrow night. We're gonna go midnight, 1 o'clock. Well, I say midnight, 1 o'clock. We're starting at 9, so it'll be at least 1 o'clock. Because the Daredevil director's cut is overly long. It's like 2:20. It might even be pushing 2:30. I don't know if you've ever seen it. If you've ever seen that cut, DJ.
What, Daredevil?
Yeah.
Oh, of course. That's the only way I've ever seen it.
The good one? Oh, really? Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I just wasn't taking that for granted because some people never bothered with it.
Yeah, I like that movie quite a bit, but that's because it's the only way I've ever seen it. Haven't watched it in a while, though. That'd be fun to go back to it.
Yeah. Get ready for a thing that doesn't hold up as much as you want it to.
Oh, I'm sure.
Or at least that's been my experience with it the last couple times I've gone back to it. I mean, it's really hard to have historical perspective. As much as I loved that movie when it came out, and it was, somewhat formative for me, like, it's a thing I still, have a soft spot in my heart for, but it's a little bit of a guilty pleasure at this point. Like, at one time I thought it was more legitimately great than it is. Mark Steven Johnson, not the best director in the world. I mean, to be fair to him, it was his first film. I mean, Ghost Rider's not a lot better, if it is at all. But it was his first.
I don't think it is.
It's not. It's not. I'm trying to throw the man a bone because he was a big Daredevil fan. He lobbied really hard to get that job. Like, you got to give him credit for at least having a lot of reverence for the material and appreciating comic books and trying to make a comic book movie, and not take, because this was in the early days where a lot of filmmakers would take a comic book property that they didn't know anything about, didn't care about whatsoever, and try to, like, form it into their own, image. Well, I'd rather be making this other movie, but this is what I'm stuck with. And for him, it was a dream job. And so, and
I would say
that shows on the screen.
That was like the first Aquaman, where it's like, let's shove all the big Daredevil stuff into one movie.
Yeah, well, thanks a lot for taking my main point for tomorrow night, because I was going to say precisely that. Oh yeah, it's a whole season of television all smashed in, and then it's impossible not to compare it to the TV show now, which actually was seasons of television where everything was not crammed into 2 hours.
Yeah, let's do Elektra, let's do Elektra's death, let's do technically Elektra Reborn kind of at the end, and let's do Kingpin and Bullseye and Origin and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and you got a bunch of stuff from Man Without Fear in there, and like in the director's cut, you've even got like glimpses of his mom and stuff. Like, you just shove it all in there. Everything you can think of. There's things in that movie where I'm like, this should be movie 3.
Well, it makes sense back then, right? Because like there was no guarantee you were going to get another one. There wasn't even Spider-Man 2 yet.
Yeah, which is why Aquaman is so weird. Because like on the one hand, the DCEU wasn't performing real great, and people weren't liking it critically. So it's kind of understandable that you would be maybe at that point back to that line of thinking, DJ, where you're like, I mean, seems like every time one of these gets put out, they've completely fired everyone that was there at the time already. So that's true, but
I still love.
But it was surreal, right? Because in a lot of ways, Aquaman feels like the way you'd make that in the early mid 2000s, except more bombastic and actually embracing the weird comic stuff in a way that a lot of things didn't do back then. Venom is much closer to the stuff we were putting out in the mid 2000s.
Yeah. Ugh. Marvel Mania Phase 2, everyone.
Yeah, well, you're welcome to come back when I eventually have to do yet another commentary on that movie, since I'm starting over and doing them all.
Only if you bring back the voice.
Oh, no.
It was such a big hit.
I'm not doing... Oh, it was infamous. People hated it.
And people hated it like 2 minutes in, and we committed, and you still committed to the...
I wasn't even hardly looking at comments. I was like, I'm doing this voice. I don't care what anybody says. Oh, I had complaints later. Some people thought it was really funny, but I mean, I had, we had comments after the fact where it was like, please don't ever do this again. It's like, and then it was like, could you guys just take the movie seriously and just do a comment? No, I can't. I've already done a commentary on this movie. and I'm not taking it seriously this time. And it was Mania, and Mania was about gimmicks to sometimes. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into the Patreon question. If you'd like to leave a question tonight, once again, what would you do is the format for the questions is the topic. Real loose, it can be whatever you want it to be. And you can leave a super chat in any dollar amount. A couple people have already done that. That guarantees that your question is read, that your opinion is heard, but you don't have to do that. We really appreciate anybody who has or ever will do that. You guys are wonderful. Leave a regular comment, or a question in the regular comments if you'd like to do that, and we'll try to get to a few of those as well. DJ, 3 Patreon questions. Throw them at me, sir.
All right, let's knock them out. SS Jerry, what are some comics you've meant to read and why, but haven't yet?
Well, one of the first things that comes to mind is Saga by Vaughn, and there's a lot of Vaughn stuff that I've started that I haven't finished, but Saga I read the first issue of, and it creeped me out, like it's really disturbing, and I never went back to it, but people have sworn by that book up and down and told me forever that I need to finally read it, and I partly bring this up, DJ, that would have been my main answer anyway, but somebody just yesterday, I think it was actually, it was the new request from Joe Turner, who requested the book we did last night. So Austin and I tackled Immortal Hulk last night, the first volume of that. It's fantastic. It's just as good as everybody's always told me it is. Everybody should read it. And so I finally dipped my toe in that. I'm probably going to read more of that. And anyway, he came back and said, hey, I want Saga next. So in fact, I will be forced to do that finally. So that's good. More things are coming to me that I've always meant to finish, like Walking Dead, which I've started like 900 times, and I just keep forgetting to go back and finish, and so there'll be a lot of time in between, and then I got to go back and start over again. I probably read like 20 or 30 issues of that, but I've never gone back and finished it or gotten even close to 100 or whatever. Sex Criminals I've never looked at. People have always said great things about that book. I'm thinking of a lot of like independent stuff, but there are several things that I'm kind of blanking on them now, but there's several things from the list of Batman books that I ranked the other day that I've never read that had me wanting to finally look at. I think out of like 140 or 150 stories and books, DJ, there were 53 I hadn't read. So I felt like that wasn't bad, or at least 53 that I didn't remember whether I had read. I'm sure at least 4 or 5 of those I've looked at some point. Given my long history with Batman and my terrible memory. But anyway, there were some things there that I was like, I need to finally read. Oh, one of them was Streets of Gotham, which I kept going back and forth, like, have I read that? Have I not? So I need to look at that. And then there were a bunch of year ones. There's like Nightwing year 1 and Batgirl year 1. I know I've read, but I couldn't remember anything about in the moment. And then those kept coming up, just things I didn't even realize had year 1s. It was like 5 or 6 or 7 of them. A bunch of stuff. And anyway, those are the things that come to mind readily, just right away. 55980ERS, Black Science. I read the first trade of that back not too far around when it came out and liked it a lot, but never went back and finished it. There's that, I always forget the name of it. Somebody will tell me, I'm sure, but is it Higgins? No. Who is it? The guy who started IDW Power Rangers went off and did his own creator-owned pseudo Power Rangers thing, and I've been fascinated to finally read that, and I haven't done that.
Oh wow!
Is it Kyle Higgins? No, that's not his name. Who is it? Anyway, but yeah, so lots of stuff. There's a few. Anyway, quite a few. What else, DJ? What are the other 2 questions before we get to the title of the show? 15 minutes in here.
Carl Maxey, do you expect Kamala and Captain Marvel to have the same relationship as Peter and Tony in the MCU? Like Kamala tells Carol she wants to be just like her, and Carol says she wants her to be better.
Okay, I'm sorry. Would you read that one more time? Because I missed a bit of that as the Super Chats were pouring in.
Sure.
Apologies.
He's asking if you expect Kamala and Captain Marvel to have the same relationship as Peter and Tony.
As Peter and Tony. No, I don't. first of all, I don't know just how developed the relationships in that movie are gonna be. I mean, it looks very wacky and cartoonish, and the second trailer certainly. And let me say, I don't have a lot of investment in that. I mean, that movie doesn't look great to me, but and just the premise of it, I can't get excited about. We keep switching places. The hope, of course, is that doesn't last the whole movie, and that maybe it's like, first act plot point. They've already gotten rid of that. I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens. But the other thing is, there are rumors that movie is going to be hella short. I don't know if you've heard that, DJ, but like, and we'll see if that's true. But the rumor is like hour and a half. Hour 40, like it would be the shortest MCU movie, which I don't want to make fun of too hard, because if it's because they've been really padding out the runtimes, both Marvel and just Disney at large, and with that premise, it doesn't sound like a thing that you want to sit through for 2 hours and 20 minutes. But it also seems unlikely to me that it seems like probably a retroactive choice if that's what happened. This is not the question, but I haven't waited on this, so I'm going to talk about it. If that is indeed what's going on, I'll be surprised if that was the way it was conceptualized, and if it isn't actually that they've just gutted it all to hell because of fears that people aren't going to want to sit through it. And it makes me worried that the movie is just really dull and there's nothing there, and so like they've really gutted a lot out of it. Which will probably make it better, if it's a lot of padded stuff that's, not very substantial. But anyway, like, I could see it, that relationship being kind of similar, but not, exactly the same. Like, I think they're more likely to play it like Kamala really looks up to Captain Marvel and has a little bit of a don't meet your heroes kind of thing, where just from what little we've seen with the trailers, the sense I get is, and I mean, we'll see. Trailers don't, aren't the be all end all, obviously, but the sense that you get from that, if they're selling the movie that it is that Kamala is like hero worshiping her, and Captain Marvel's not into that, and it doesn't really want a lot to do with with her partners. And then when you get to that second trailer, obviously by the third act they're going to be more of a unit, and I guess they get along and stuff now. But I think it's probably going to be more like like a little lost puppy dog chasing around her owner kind of situation, at least at the start, and a little bit less mentory. But I guess I don't know for sure.
Man, now that you say that, that makes me wish that the Peter and Tony was kind of more like that. He looks up to Tony and then finds out, no, this guy's a total jerk, and then goes on his own.
Yeah, I mean, Tony. Well, I'll say this real quick. Like, it's that relationship becomes mentorish, but it's a lot more like Tony just kind of coming in and out and giving him like real quick piece of advice and technology and stuff, and then like leave me alone, after that. So I guess I could be wrong, and it could be more mentorish the other way, where like Captain Marvel, Carol like resisted at first, but then ultimately like really takes her under her wing, a lot more so than Tony did. I guess that could happen. But yeah, I can see why you're asking that. I hadn't had that thought.
And then
the difference is at least they're related characters, from the comics in the first place. So like it would be more appropriate for that to happen with those characters.
Yeah, I think it makes more sense.
So like I'm not saying that that's a bad idea if they go that way. I would actually much rather that than have to sit through her being a raving fangirl, and I'm sure this is what it's going to be. My worry is this is what it's going to be. Like Kamala being a raving fangirl and Carol Danvers finding her as irritating as the audience does. And then somewhere in there things click, probably, between them, probably in a really obligatory way. Like it's kind of a light switch. Like, now we like each other because the music is telling us to.
I hope they don't make her annoying, because she was really likable in the show, or at least the first few episodes.
Yeah, she was. And then from the moment she's in that trailer, she seems insufferable. So I hope they're just taking all the insufferable parts and throwing them in the trailer, because she seems awful on the big screen. But I guess we'll find out.
All right. The last one is a classic question. We've got this before. Bill
We have gotten
Mills.
this before. I know what this
Who
was.
has the better rogues gallery from top to bottom, Batman or Spider-Man?
Yeah, for my money, it's always going to be Batman. I've answered this before. And for DJ, it's Spider-Man because DJ is a Spider-Man fan.
Yep. You got us figured out. You know us well.
Having said that, I always came to Spider-Man more for the villains, so I love Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery. It is certainly second to Batman's for me. But like, I guess the best way to put it is they're both interesting in their relationship psychologically to the hero. But I like, I think the reason I put Batman's a little bit over Spider-Man's is because and you could make the argument that this is true with Batman too, but for my money anyway, there's a lot of kind of different like complex psychopathic and sociopathic psychologies with Batman villains where they're each the opposite side of the coin for Batman in a different sort of way. And with Spider-Man, it's a bunch of thuggish characters that he could have been if he didn't figure out responsibility. So it's still connected to that character and the point of that character, but until you get writers that come in and tell really interesting stories with them, a lot of those characters are kind of one note and samey to me initially. But then my favorite ones are as interesting and complex and fun to read as the best of Batman characters. There's just not quite as many of them for me. So it ends up being kind of a quantity over quality thing. But like when I was a kid, I came to Spider-Man more for Venom and Carnage than I did for Spider-Man. And I can't say that about any Batman villain. Like Batman always eclipsed his villains for me. And I found them interesting in relation to Batman. I could almost go as far as to say that that the difference between the characters for me is I found, or in my enjoyment of them, is that I found Spider-Man interesting in relation to his villains, and I found the villains with Batman interesting in relation to Batman. If that makes any sense at all.
I think another point for Spider-Man is just the sheer number of good villains. Like he has so many villains, and so many of them are great. It's got coming from a guy who's trying to collect them all in Marvel Legends form. Like I wish he kind of had less iconic villains because there's a lot. It's a lot of them.
Sure, but for my money, that's also true of Batman. I would concede that it took longer for a lot of Batman villains to get cool.
That's a good point.
Than it did Spider-Man villains. But like a lot of the best iterations of those villains are from the animated series, which you've still not watched.
Yes. And I never will.
No, well, you should. It's great. Anyway.
All right. Shall we move on? We've got tons of fun on-theme questions. We got a super chat from Mutale that is on theme. What would you do if you had a time machine? Another classic.
Yeah, see, Austin is saying the opposite of what I just said, but I still kind of stick with it. Just because for whatever, I've always said this, but for whatever reason, I just relate real hard to like Batman and psychology. But Austin says with Batman, his villains are what's interesting. Spider-Man himself is the interesting part. Like, yeah, I get why you feel that way, but I guess it's a little bit different for me. With the villains that I most latch onto with Spider-Man, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know if it made any sense at all. I'm sorry. What was that last one?
Super chat from Mutale. What would you do if you had a time machine?
What would you do if you had a time machine, DJ?
Yeah. Oh, you've answered this one before, so you're just gonna pass it to me.
Yeah.
Didn't you say like
that's what I was doing?
Watch Jesus die last time you got this question?
Did I say that? I don't think I said that. That's crazy if I said that. Watch Jesus die.
Not you didn't.
No, I think I probably said like I think I did say.
You just want to know what happened. Yeah.
I think I did say like and isn't that what a lot of us would do? Just like finally put that question to bed.
Yeah, the big questions. Go watch the aliens build the pyramids.
Yeah, just go back and find out if.
Nope, it was really just ropes and pulleys. Dang it, I wasted my time machine.
Was there really a resurrection? I think we'd all like to know that.
Yeah. Go back to the road to Damascus and see who tricked Paul with the light in his face.
Because it's easy to go to a real frivolous thing, but at the end of the day, it would be like wasting your one wish from a genie lamp, right? Like you really, I really couldn't bring myself to just, because somebody always brings up the. Yeah, like Noah's already done it. I'd go back and see classic movies on opening day. Like somebody always goes to, like I'd make sure and see my favorite movie when it came out. Yeah, I couldn't waste it like them. I overthink these things, but I couldn't wait. Now, I guess if you had a time machine that you could keep using, you could go back and do all kinds of stuff. But I have a hard time not answering these kinds of things like if you could only do it once.
Yeah, if we're gonna keep it geeky, there is one I wouldn't see like my favorite movies because I can watch those, but like lost films would be really cool. Like there's a film called Greed by Erich von Stroheim, and when he originally released it, it was 8 hours long. And the producers made him hack it to pieces, and it was only shown like over 3 nights, one time ever, and they got all cut up, and it's been lost, and you can only watch it like an hour and a half version now, so it's completely lost. So I would love to see that. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, the selfish answer for me, this is not geeky at all, really, is, and it's funny I'm saying that because the movie that I'm making is a time travel movie where I'm kind of living this out a little bit. It's a thing I think about some. I would go back in time to various points in my own childhood to see them with the perspective that I have now. Like, I'm just so curious sometimes. And I won't talk about any specific instances or moments, but and I think we probably all have this. I'm always curious if I remember events correctly. You know, if like stuff that happened in my life really happened the way I remember it, or if I was interpreting it wrong because I was a kid and I didn't know what was actually, I didn't know like people's motivations behind choices they made, or things like that. You know, like I'd love to have a better perspective of just my whole like life as I've lived it now.
Yeah, for sure. I don't have any big, like, it would be cool if I had like a big thing that happened that was tragic in my past, like one of my friends died or something, or like something that I could have stopped, but I don't think I have anything like that.
Well, I wouldn't stop anything. I'm too terrified of butterfly effect. I just want to know how it, because I think it would make me like, wiser and smarter in the way I live my life moving forward. You know what I mean? And also just stuff that you can't help but be curious about. Just morbid curiosity. So like things that your parents told you about. That and even like before me, like things your parents said they did. Did it really happen the way they said it did? I'd love to know.
Yeah, you do a Back to the Future. Just go creep on your parents. Yeah. When I was growing up, I had these books that were called Alice in Bible Land. That was basically just a little girl like going and watching Bible stories. That's basically what you want to do, is just go back in time and just hide behind the bushes and just watch things happen and then leave. I remember those books. Those were weird. Like she would just go and watch like David and Goliath, like watch this gruesome battle where he murders Goliath, and then she'd be like, "Oh, okay," and then she would just leave.
Well, and there's a part of me that would love to go and not that I'm like a big like conspiracy guy, like fascinated
JFK?
fascinated by conspiracies, but like a little bit. There's a. And when I say I'm not a big conspiracy guy, I mean I'm not like a conspiracy theory guy. I just mean, some people, even if they don't buy into conspiracy theories, are very fascinated by that whole culture, right? And you want to know if things really happen the way the official story is at all. My worry would be I'd go back and look at those things and it would just be really boring. Like it wouldn't like it would be maybe not exactly the official story, but what's being covered up, you go, oh yeah, no, I understand why the government covered that up. That makes sense. And then you just move on. Like, it's just not that interesting. Like you go back to Area 51 and whatever the answer is that turns out not to be aliens, you go, oh, okay. It all makes sense now. And you're like, I have that information, but it's not gratifying. Like, that would be my worry. It was more fun when I thought there was a possibility that there were aliens. Right?
Yeah. It's just a bunch of ET cartridges buried.
Mutala, you wouldn't get a sports almanac from the future. Well, no, because we learned our lesson from that movie. It's not a good idea to try to make your fortune that way and mess with space time or whatever. You can't do
All
everything
right.
the easy way. That's also a line from that movie, The Easy Way. Anyway.
We should probably move on. We've got a ton of these, and we're taking.
Oh, do we really? Okay, sorry. I was taking my time because I didn't realize how much we had. Sorry, go ahead.
All right. Kind of didn't follow the rules, but it's a super chat. So Bob the Hun, $2. Mark Steven Johnson almost made Iron Man and Batman.
I didn't know about Batman. I knew about Iron Man. Wow.
That would have been a Batman music video. That would have been amazing.
Fun fact. The Day Ghost, Roswell is actually where they capture a time-traveling Cap. There's a DS9 episode about that where Quark and his brother become the Roswell incident. It's not great, but it's funny.
Nicholas Robinson.
Yeah.
$4.99. Aside from TNG, DS9, B5, what are some complex and thought-provoking TV shows you've seen?
Oh, that doesn't fit the what would you do format. But I'll answer it real quick anyway. I've been watching.
What would you do if someone asked you what are some thought-provoking TV shows you've seen?
I've been watching a bunch of Stargate lately, and I'm kind of hooked on it. And I do this every so often. Like, I've meant to go all the way through SG1 for 20 years, and I'm finally trying to make myself do it. I'm only on season 4, but I'm getting through there. And you know what's really funny, DJ? I don't know that show super well because I've watched, you know, random disparate episodes all through it, and I watched all of Atlantis a long time ago, but I had not seen through season 7 SG1, which is where Atlantis starts, so I was a little bit lost with some of the beginning of that show. But anyway, and so I don't remember it super well. It's been over a decade since I watched that, but I've been so hooked on that show lately that every time I watch an episode that gets me thinking and I think is really interesting, or something really funny happens, because there's a lot of great humor in that show, I'll post on the Stargate fan page on Facebook, which has 80,000 followers, by the way. It's a really popular group on Facebook, and I've been posting stuff there, and I'm not even a big Stargate fan. All of a sudden, I'm a top contributor on the Stargate Facebook group. That's hilarious. I've been getting all this engagement on that. I've been getting I've been posting things that people think are funny, that like 150 people will thumb up, and I'm like, I'm not even a Stargate fan. It's great. I'm turning into one though. I want to build a Stargate in my bunker. I think that'd be awesome.
Bat polls first.
But aside from that, and you know, that show does a lot of the same great morality play stuff and kind of ethical conundrums, just in a more, at least in the late '90s, kind of modern sense, and even over the Star Trek shows from that period, because in some ways they were still kind of stuck in the past a little bit with kind of Roddenberry's rules. That show is contemporary in all the right ways and really holds up. You know, the effects don't always, but the scripts certainly do. And it's like more realistic in its way, and I don't want to say more cynical, but like more of a sense of I don't know. It's optimistic without being sappy about it, and like it kind of finds that line between like a TNG and a DS9, I guess. But it's real thought provoking. It does kind of what the Orville would do a lot later, where it will sort of, even if it's not doing it on purpose, like combine a couple of Star Trek episodes and then go a totally different way by the end. But that's my big answer to that right now. Beyond that, there's a bunch of sci-fi shows that I watched, you know, years ago that I haven't looked at in a long time, and a lot of more recent stuff I haven't watched just because they tend to be really bleak. And I'm very often just not in the mood for that. So, like, you know, I've started The Expanse a couple of times, and I just have not been able to get into it because it's not what I want, even though it seems great. So, like, I'll watch that at some point, but, like, I don't know. The darkest thing I've watched all the way through was Battlestar Galactica, and at the time we all thought that was relentless, and it doesn't hold a candle to some of the stuff that's out now. And like, you and I talked about Black Mirror a couple weeks ago, like, I watched one episode of that, and I'm like, I'm good for a year, you know?
I want to kill myself.
But yeah, so like, I've seen some of Farscape. I keep meaning to go back and watch Andromeda. I've still not watched very much of that show. I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff.
If there's ever a show to make you regret bringing children into this world, just watch an episode of Black Mirror.
Black Mirror, yeah. Yeah. and then just read the newspaper, and you're like, saints alive, I just don't need the internet anymore. I don't think.
I just don't want to see anymore.
Nicholas Robinson, The Twilight Zone. Yeah, I was kind of just sticking to more relatively recent things from the last 30 years. But yeah, The Twilight Zone. I saw a lot when I was a kid, but I've never seen all of that show. And Brandon and I started a watch of that, and then we both got busy, and we haven't come back together to finish it. But
all right, TH1.
Yes, what's up, Tom?
$2. What would you do if X starts charging people?
I would laugh at anyone that spent money with it, and then I would go on with my life, because I already don't use Twitter at all anymore.
You mean X?
And I won't. No, I don't mean X. I mean Twitter. We should all just call it what it is, because the X thing is not going to stick. And I mean, it's Musk, so I guess he can force it, but like, all anybody does is make fun of that name and talk about how pretentious it is and how like edgelordy. That's 100% of people practically that I've heard bring this up will initially call it X and then go, almost like it's a dirty thing to say, and they want to take a bath, and then it's like, that's so edgelord. Like why did he call it that? It's stupid. I don't think any website should be one letter. There's only 26. That's why it's pretentious. It's like, Elon Musk, why do you have the monopoly on a letter of the 26 in the alphabet?
It's only in English though. Like, you could name anything alpha or omega or beta, and it's perfectly acceptable.
Well, that's because in our language it takes more letters to say it. And also, it would still be pretentious if a whole website was called that. It's not like you changed Twitter to Alpha. We would also be making fun of that. That would also sound dumb, right?
Yeah, but I don't know. It's like everyone freaks. This is what we do. Everyone freaks out and makes fun of stuff for like 2 weeks, and then we forget about it, and then we just use it. Like Max, everyone made fun of Max.
I still make fun of Max.
It's fine. I know, but it's fine. People still use it. It didn't hurt them at all.
Well, I didn't say it would hurt them. I'm saying it's dumb, and I don't think but I'm actually going to keep arguing with you on that. I don't think that goes away. I think a lot of people will refuse to call it that. Like, yes, we'll move on in the sense that we'll be stuck with it if he decides to keep calling it that, but I think there's a chance that he changes the name back at some point. I really do. It's just a dumb thing to call something.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I hope it just goes away, but I've never used it ever, so I have no skin in the game.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't use it either, but the problem is, there will be, inevitably, especially doing this show, I'll have to talk about tweets and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, what I'm saying is I have to refer to it by something, and so it's annoying because invariably I can't talk about that website without the fact that the name changed to something stupid coming up, and I still say it's ridiculous that you have a thing that was established forever that still a lot of people use. I don't know why they do, because it's a cesspool, but whatever. And it was called Twitter forever. And when people post there, people still call them tweets. So you have tweets on a thing called X. Like, you're gonna have kids 10 years from now are gonna be like, oh, so this is really confusing. How come there's this website called X, but except I don't think it'll last that long. How come there's this website called X, but like when you post on it, they're called tweets? Now, do you think that people are gonna change the name of the tweets and just start saying posts? Because I don't, because it's a shorthand. Like, if you say tweet, people know what. Yeah, and you all, they're also truncated. So when you say tweet, you're talking about a thing that can only be so many characters. So, like, it needs its own name, but
the name is already so short. You can't have a shorter version for the tweets.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of reasons it's obnoxious. Anyway, I hate it. Cinematographic didn't even realize this was real and thought we were all BSing him. He says about Twitter being named X. No, it's real. That's what he's calling it.
Google it, man.
Yeah,
well, you still can before Google turns into Z.
But no, that would take that website. People aren't gonna. I mean, enough people wouldn't like pay to use it.
You could call it Zed.
Yeah.
You could name a website Zed. That's a letter that takes more letters to.
It's still well. I mean, yeah, it's just like Alpha. it's a little bit less pretentious than X, but not by a lot, and not if you're British. So anyway,
Or Canadian, those guys.
or any of these weirdos that say Z instead of Z.
Or literally any other English-speaking country except for America.
Z is not a letter. Z is a supervillain, okay? And it's spelled with 2 D's. All right, moving right along.
Mutale, 14 South African Rand. What would you do if Damian
For
Wayne
a
was your
Klondike
son?
bar? I'm sorry, what?
What would you do if Damian Wayne was your son?
That's great. Well, I would not have joint custody with Talia. That's the first thing. I would work real hard to somehow keep him away from his mother. Which, you know, sounds awful in most circumstances, but just remember the assassin. Remember the assassin we're talking about here. Yeah, no, I'd put him up for adoption. That's what Noah said too. Just as I said, I did not steal that, Noah.
No, I came through at the exact same time.
No, that's great. Look, I would love him like any of my children, but I would blame the mother because it's her fault. And then, you know, I'd do the best that I could, just like Batman does. I mean, like, to be fair to Batman, I don't know what else you do, but let him use his skills for good and make him a Robin. I mean, that's probably what you have to do. Because if you, like, because you could say, well, that's a bad idea because of what happened with Jason Todd, and maybe he'll just go out and start, you know, killing villains and stuff, because that's kind of what he was trained to do. But if you... It's sort of that prohibition thing, right? Where, like, if you just try to keep him at home and don't let him do the thing he wants to do, he's going to sneak out and it's going to be a lot worse. So you teach him how to do it, you know, as properly as you can. But yeah, I would not want that. That would be terrible.
Chewbacca's Lover, $2.
Yeah. What's up?
When you gonna finish Star Wars Legacy?
That is another one of those books that I've started a million times, and I've even reviewed the opening arc twice now, and I've still never finished that book. I have read half of it, but I only reviewed through the first couple of trades. So I don't know the answer to that. I would have to start over again. I have this thing as I'm getting older. I don't mind being transparent about this, where stuff, I don't know if it's just getting older or having a lot of kids or having like your priorities in different places, but people will ask me all the time, how come you don't do more like season overviews of shows? How come you'll review like the first in something, but you don't go back and do all of it, which is what people really want you to do? Stuff doesn't stick with me like it used to. And I feel like if I don't take like copious notes and turn everything into a term paper project, that I can't hang on to information like I used to. It kind of drives me crazy, DJ. Like, and I'm really not sure what it is, and I'm sure it's normal, and I'm sure it's just a thing that comes with pushing 40 and having, you know, 5 going on 6 kids.
Yeah, you just got so much on your brain.
Yeah.
Dividing your capacity.
But I always fight the urge to apologize about it and to feel like I'm doing something wrong. You know what I mean? Because 10 years ago, my memory for this stuff was a lot better. Yeah. Or at least it seemed like it was. But I think, like you said, I think I just had more space for it. Like, I'm starting to sympathize with adults No.
I thought you were just going to end the sentence there.
I'm starting to sympathize with adults in my life from when I was a teenager, and I would get real into... Like, for instance, I ran a Star Trek club at the end of high school and then all through college and beyond. I mean, I did that for 15 years. And I had people from all ages in that group. I was in my... When I started, you know, I was 19, 20, and my first officer was in her 50s, late 40s, into her 50s, and was the mother of a kid that my sister went to school with. And when I first met her, I'm going down a rabbit hole, I won't take too long with this, but when I first met her, I kind of struck up a acquaintance with her because she would let me borrow tapes to show in Star Trek Club, because this is before everything was on DVD, and she had all the like mail order tapes, and then And so I would borrow that stuff from her, and then once I got out of high school and started the club, she got interested in coming to it and helping me with it, and so she ended up like helping me start that club and found it. So I had people of all ages in there, going all the way up to 60, and all the way down to 12, 13, and we had a couple of people in there who were, like middle-aged, who just couldn't keep trivia in their head to save their lives. And I'd be like, you watch Star Trek all the time. Like, because we used to take lists from people where there were various ways to get points in club and then move up in ranks. We had like a rank system, just for fun. It was kind of a casual thing, and people would turn in lists of episodes that they would watch. And we had this guy who was a close friend of mine. I went to school with his kids, and he in some ways he was like a second dad to me, and we were real close. And anyway, and he was a big Star Trek fan, and he would turn in lists of all these episodes that he watched, but he never remembered anything about them, because I guess he just had them on in the background while he was doing other things. And I couldn't figure out for the life of me how he watched all that stuff but didn't know anything. And now that I'm the age that he was then, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
It took me too long to get to that point, but like I'm sympathetic to it now. I get it. That's exactly where I'm at.
Yeah, we it's so easy for us teenagers and young 20-somethings to be so stupid, and like, because we have no lives, and we see everyone else. We can't see past our own front door, and we're like, well, come on, I can do this. Why can't anyone else? It's like, well, yeah, you have nothing going on. Like, I'm a completely different person. Movies are a completely different like aspect of my life than they were when I was in college, like when I could literally just sit around and do nothing all day.
Yeah, you just didn't have the perspective and also the same understanding of the passage of time, right? Like, that was real different. So what you didn't realize, if you got obsessed with something to the point where you were like nearly an expert in it, like I thought back then I had gotten for Star Trek, what you don't realize is you don't have a job, or you have like a part-time job, and like, yeah, you're going to school and stuff, and maybe you're busy and you have a lot going on, but you don't have your own family, which is a completely different thing. And you don't realize that you're actually putting in the hours that eventually you'll put into work or put into a family. And so it's fun time, and so you don't think of it like, and it's not a job, I don't mean that, but you're allocating the kind of hours that eventually you just will have to use for more important things.
Yeah.
And so, like, but at the same time, it's not just a time thing, because I do put a certain amount of hours a week into the channel, and I could spend a lot of that time when I'm not on camera reading the same comic series and review it, and then a month later I might not be able to recall a lot of what happened in it. That's just kind of where I'm at now. Kind of drives me crazy.
All right.
Anyway, sorry, that was a tangent. I'll go faster in the second half. Go ahead, DJ.
TH1, $5. He says, my classic. What would you do if you woke up and found a duffel bag full of money, jewelry, and a gun sitting on your front porch?
Well, first I would look around for like people watching me or for cameras. Right? That's the first thing you do, because that's a peculiar thing to find. And the first thing I assume is someone is setting me up for something. Could be a TV show, could be to see if I do something terrible and get arrested. Like, could be anything. But yeah, I feel like the right thing to do in that situation is always just call the police, let them come and investigate it. And then if they say, well, I mean, it was found on your property, it's yours, then at that point, I decide what I'm going to do with it all, Yeah, I have a hard time coming up with like a real creative, fun, because that's just it's not a thing that, it's Desert Island. It's not a thing that's likely to happen, but it's sort of like the whole, like, if you find a wallet thing, like, oh, what would you do if it had like, like $1,000 or $100,000 in it or whatever? I'm like, well, I've seen enough TV and movies to know that there's very often consequences to things like that, and so you just, I don't know. I'm in a very like honesty is the best policy part of my life. Like maybe when I was younger, there would be a part of me that would be more tempted to just pocket money or whatever, but I don't have that anymore.
Yeah, this is where we have to. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. Somebody might be relying on that. Somebody might need it. Like you know, I mean, if it's on your front porch, it's probably a different situation. But I don't know. But I don't know what that situation. And then the gun.
Kick it out of here. Throw it straight.
I'm not touching that. Like it could be stolen. It could be, and I don't want that. So I don't know. Like, yeah, I don't want somebody's random gun.
You don't know where it's been.
You know, even if I was like a hobbyist, and I'm not I mean, I don't want to get into, you know, like the whole gun rights thing and all of that, of course. I'm not going to get political about it, but like, I'm not, you know, a big prude about it. Like, you know, people that are, hobbyists and stuff, that like to go to shooting ranges and whatever is totally cool with me. But if I was going to do that, I would just take some random gun that was on my front porch and like you'd want to go like you'd want to go shopping and try some out and see which ones you like. It might be too heavy, it might be a color I don't like. Like there's not any part of me that's tempted by gun on my front porch.
Just walk onto the range. Can I use this? I found it in a bag of money.
No, it's my gun.
Yeah, this is where we have to balance whether, you know, we're on a live show, we're supposed to be entertaining.
Yeah.
Or do we just tell the truth? Because telling the truth is a super boring answer. It's like, well, I call the police, obviously.
Yeah, that's just what you do.
But that's not interesting. Nobody wants to hear that.
Okay. Well, then I guess I could lie and say
I'd go pick up Cap immediately and take him to Vegas.
Yeah.
We would live it up.
Now, I will say, if somebody just handed me a bunch of money, I mean, it depends on how much it was. Yeah, I might take a certain amount of it and go to the casino just because I've never really done that. And it'd be kind of fun to take just a certain amount of cash and say, this is how much I'm allocating, and go to the casino. Like, I have this, I've talked about this before, but I have this kind of nostalgia for casinos. Because when I was a kid, my dad went somewhat frequently, and he and my stepmom just did slot machines. They didn't spend a lot of money. They would very often pay for their trips with it, though, which is pretty cool. But back in the 90s, the places we would go, we went to like Tunica, Mississippi. I had really cool stuff for kids, and that's where a lot of my fond memories of arcades and pinball machines and stuff come from. So I am tempted every now and again to go to a casino just for the atmosphere. I don't even really want to gamble that much, but it feels weird to just walk around a casino, you know? So, like, I gotta spend something.
Yeah. They got drinks, don't they? I've never been to one.
Yeah, but what happens is, usually you go and they give you free drinks if you're playing.
Oh, so you just gotta pretend like you're playing.
So it's a little, yeah, but you can't.
Just tie a string around a coin and just be dropping it in and pulling it out.
No, it doesn't work that way anymore, though, because now it's, I mean, you could never do that. They have cameras. But now it's just like arcades and anything where it's all just on a card. You know, you don't even have...
that's lame.
It is lame. Yeah, you don't even have coins and stuff anymore. You can't, like, if you hit big on a slot machine, it just gives you a bunch of credit on a card. You don't get to sit there and watch it all pile out anymore. It's sad.
I bet you that's actually better for them. I bet you that doesn't trigger your brain as much when you're spending money, because just like a credit card versus cash, like people probably spend a lot more because they're not even registering. They're just swiping and swiping.
It doesn't feel liquid.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
But it's not fun.
Hot soup, wipe down and pocket the gun, trash the duffel, get a counterfeit pen to make sure the money is real, sit on it at least 6 months before spending any to let the trail go cold.
See, there's the answer, Hot Soup. You should have the show, not us.
Yeah, tune in next week for the Hot Soup Show, because that was much more fun and creative than the nothing that I said.
Then call the police.
Hey, let's do one more before the break.
All right. Well, it's a big one here. Mutale.
Oh, goodness. All right.
What would you guys do?
Yeah.
Thank you for including me. If you were immortal. Not an immortal Hulk, just immortal.
Yeah, because that's a different thing, because like Banner himself is not immortal, but the Hulk is. And then it gets weird because it means that Banner can keep dying. So then the question is, well, isn't he also sort of immortal? Yeah,
Gotta read the
Austin, I
rest of
don't
the
care
run.
about slots either. I always want to do table games, but the problem is you lose a lot of money very quickly. Like if you go in and just play table games, you're done in half an hour. Like unless you're a high roller and you bring a lot of money with you. Like,
Well, we will be because we just found a bag on our porch.
oh, that's true.
We're going on the Geekvolution road trip, baby.
We are. We should do a Geekvolution Vegas road trip. That'd be
Yeah,
fantastic.
you could fit all of your co-hosts in your car now because you've got a giant uh, truck van type.
Oh, I gotta bring the gas guzzler to Vegas though. I don't want to do that. That thing gets like 15 miles to the gallon. I don't want to do that.
Most expensive road trip ever. But we're millionaires.
No, I'm kidding. I think
got
it does
a bag.
better than that, but it's expensive because it's a big tank.
Yeah.
Anyway, what was the question?
What would you do if you were immortal?
Oh, if you were immortal.
Being immortal kind of sucks, right? Because you have to like give up your life every lifetime.
Yeah.
You can't let anyone know that you're immortal. Like I can't build a legacy. You'd have to just scrap Geekvolution and start something new in like 4 decades.
Well, there's a couple of different ways you could play it. You could, I mean, I always overthink these things. Am I the only immortal?
Both of us.
Do
You
I
said
suddenly?
you guys.
Okay, but what I mean is, in this scenario, are each of us in our own La La Lands immortal, or are we immortal together, or are there lots of immortals? Because if it's like a mutant thing where it's not actually that uncommon to live forever, to live a really long time, then maybe you just let everybody know you are and then live with those consequences. But if you're one of the few people that, if there's more than a few, but it's not like, a huge segment of the population, you would immediately be famous. So you might have some sort of benefits from having a really long-running YouTube show that you could do for 100 years.
Yeah, but how does the government not step in and like kill you if you're this immortal super being?
Well, yeah, I mean, it just
I would
depends
not
on. I don't know what the status quo is what I'm saying. But if it's the typical, and I'm sure this is what he was thinking, if it's just the typical, like a sci-fi, kind of Twilight Zone situation where you're immortal and nobody else is, and you feel like you have to keep hiding it because the government will dissect you, or you can't have regular relationships or whatever. And I find out that I'm immortal in the middle of what I thought was like middle age, of a normal lifespan. Then I would live out I would stick around and live through my family, and at some point you would just have to tell them that you're immortal because you're not aging. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you'd keep it as much of a secret as you could. You'd probably get hermity real early, right? You'd stay home. You wouldn't go out much. You wouldn't be able to hide it from your immediate family. So then people would be like, oh, why does he never leave the house? Oh, he must have gotten like really horribly disfigured or something. No, it's the opposite. I actually look way better than any of you people because we're all 80, but I look like I'm 30, And then everybody eventually that dies, and then you just do the Bruce Banner, we're back to that, you do the Bruce Banner TV show thing, and you just go around the country helping people, because it wouldn't make sense to settle down. So you just have to live the rest of your life at kind of arm's length and never settling down. I don't know how you could live any other way. And you also have to keep in mind that in this day and age, how difficult would it be to constantly keep faking a new identity every time? Like, way harder to do that than it used to be. I don't even know how you'd go about it. Where like every time
you'd have to have
you start over, you got to pretend to be a new person, and it's got to be legal.
You'd have to make a best friend who was like an ID maker, an ID printer.
Yeah,
we could just make you IDs, because that would be a nightmare. Yeah, it sounds terrible. I don't want it. There's no way you can get away with it.
No, although there is another thing you could do that would be pretty weird. I just thought of this. I'm hesitating because I want to formulate this right, because it could sound really screwed up. Well, it could sound real cultish, like if you're not careful. What I'm thinking you do maybe is you start your own really small, isolated country, and you're just, you know, the head of it, or you have like kind of a, you know, democracy, but you stay involved in it, right? And
sounds kind of cultish.
It sounds cultish, yeah. I don't know.
No one ever sees you. They just send women into you.
Well, that's not what I meant. I was just gonna say, with the first life you lead before you realize you're immortal, you start having kids, and then you bring like other people into the not the cult, but into the society that you're building, and like I think to not be weird and creepy about it, you would have to just be celibate past your first wife, probably, or it would be really screwed up. You know what I mean? So, like, you'd be around and you would be helping your community forever, but you wouldn't be able to have relationships. I don't think it would really work. Otherwise, it would get really weird.
So, again,
yeah,
sounds terrible. I don't want it.
So, yeah, maybe you couldn't do that. Yeah, I don't know. So, yeah, there's no good way to be immortal.
I wonder if there are
in
still
this day and age.
Any countries in the world that you could go and be, like, a leader of. Like, and they would think you were, you know, sent from God or something because they know how long you live. There probably are still countries that you could do that.
Yeah, but then you wouldn't want to do that. You wouldn't want to be like, I'm gonna pretend like I'm a prophet, or like, you know, the second coming of Christ or something.
Well, you gotta live somewhere.
All right, I'm gonna challenge the viewers to find a question you can ask that will get me to a weirder place this evening. Everybody, thanks so much for. Sorry, what?
No, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna go to the break. What were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, get Cap to a weirder place than trying to not sound like a cult leader.
Yeah, no, it's tough. That was one of those moments where I really wanted to roll time backwards. Okay, we're going to go on now to the break. It'll be about 3.5 minutes, and we'll see you again in just a little bit. We'll come back for the second part of the Captain Logan Show with more What Would You Do questions. Come up with some more, and I'll try to go faster than one every 10 minutes. We'll see you in just a little bit. Welcome back, folks, to part 2 of the Captain Logan Show. I guess I should say the second half. We're doing what would you do questions, and it's already gotten kind of odd. There's been some questions that didn't seem real out there, and then I started talking about them. But I'll try to go a little bit quicker. We want to try to get to as many of these as possible. And how many super chats are left, DJ? Did we get most of those knocked down?
Yeah, only 3 left, guys.
Yeah, so feel free to throw some more in and some regular questions as well. And away we go. Everything is formatted as what would you do tonight. Once again, join Austin and I tomorrow night at 9 Central for the X2 and Daredevil 20th anniversary commentaries for the Superhero Rewind Commentary Project. And away we go. Go ahead, DJ.
Utale, what would you do if you found out you were a clone?
I think I'm a clone now. Yeah, like would it is another one of those things where it's kind of all about the status quo and the exact situation. You know what I mean? Like if I found out that if it was more real world somehow, I mean, not that people are, regularly getting cloned, but let's just say for the sake of argument that it was a thing that could could realistically happen, where your parents, instead of having you the natural way, turned out to clone you, like from, I don't know, your like some of their DNA or whatever it is. Like that wouldn't have, it would be surprising, but I wouldn't have the like Ben Reilly reaction of, oh, well, like, do I count as a person, or like am I am I still myself? Like it would be a different situation than to find out that you're a clone of another person and you both share the same memories and all of that. Like if you had that whole situation, like what I was originally building to with the abandoned Batman Year project, which I've talked about before, but I was writing a story about that. Yeah, that would be, crushing and would give you massive identity questions, where it's like you're living somebody else's life, where somebody else was there before you and you technically are them genetically, but you're not actually really them and you're just a copy. Yeah, it would be difficult not to question your existence and whether you counted, as the person you were, or even as a person maybe.
Yeah, I grew up on the 90s Spider-Man show, so I would immediately assume that I was made of water and that I could just be obliterated at any moment.
Yeah, you'd be like, oh, my life's not going to last that much longer, and I can't believe I've made it this far.
As soon as I find out I'm a clone, that's when I die. I would just immediately start talking like the Scarlet Spider from Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably do what Ben Reilly does and just try to, make your own life for yourself. But it would be, again, it'd be crushing. It'd be really hard.
You would immediately start a cult.
I would. I would go get an island, and my answer for everything. I'm trying to turn everything into a desert island scenario. I buy the desert island and I move there.
We've got no desert island questions yet, so you're just making everything about it.
Well, when I say that's a euphemism. When I say desert island scenario, I mean things that are really unlikely to happen. Not a literal desert island scenario.
No, I want a literal.
I mean, if somebody wants to throw one of those out, I'll answer it, but that's not what I mean by desert island scenario.
All right, 5590 ERS 499. I'm waiting for him to actually put in a super chat that's 559. I don't know if he can actually do that, but what would you do if you were a mutant in the Marvel Universe?
Well, again, all these things end up being kind of it depends questions. Depends on what era of Marvel we're in. Like, what are the politics like right now surrounding mutants? How accepted are they at the moment? Like, is it more like is it more like the civil rights movement in the 60s, or is it a little closer to today? That's what you want to know, because that would help you determine if you wanted to hide your powers or not. And it would also depend on what your powers were. Like, it's not just, am I a mutant? Well, first of all, I wouldn't think of myself as a subspecies. That's the first thing. That's always kind of driven me crazy. This idea that like there's a separation between human beings and mutants. Mutants are just human beings with another, chromosome, right? Like
They are the apex predator. Do you remember that? You at least remember that movie, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, and I had a whole tirade recently about how we can't stop saying apex predator and effing everything. And nobody knows what I'm talking about, but I swear, start looking for it, you'll see it. It's not like, it doesn't come up as often as like all those years ago, but it happens, you'll hear it.
Like when you buy a new car and then you see it everywhere.
I get the kind, because I've always thought of, and it's interesting, I'm not even criticizing anything, but I've always thought it's interesting the way, like Magneto, but even a lot of the X-Men look at being mutants, like we're not humans, we're mutants. There's like an almost religious kind of component to that. It's always seemed to me like there's an interpretation that is kind of belief beyond anything, where it's like, well, is the science there to say that mutants are not actually humans? Like whether or not you look at it as the next step in evolution, no, they're still humans. They're just mutated humans. So that's the first thing. I wouldn't think of myself as not human, and even differently than the way I think anyway. Even this is how I would do it. Even the way Professor X tends to talk about it, where it's like humans and mutants can live in harmony. I mean, yeah, like they're gonna be separated out like a subspecies by a lot of people. But I would just have a hard time thinking of myself as not human. It's like, well, I'm human. I just have this other thing.
I don't know. I guess it just depends on what power you had. I think.
Yeah.
Because it's just, if you think of it evolutionarily, like we're just a little bit different than, some of our ape relatives. So then at what point do you become another thing instead of still calling yourself a primate? I mean, we still do call ourselves primates, but like if you had a big power, like if you just like if you were just the tongue kid, then maybe not. But like if you have like, a big enough power that you're on another level of the food chain, I think you can think about it that way.
Well, I think if that happens, if you have a power that's hard to control or something that's like astronomically, like really powerful, where you could, move things with your mind or whatever, the Magneto, the big powers. It would maybe hard not to think of yourself that way, but anybody that has any kind of mutant power whatsoever, they all think of themselves as this different species. And I would have a hard time thinking about it like that. But as far as
the question.
What's that?
I mean, none of this is the question. We just need to say what we're gonna do.
Well, and that's why I say it really just depends on what power you have.
Yeah. Luckily, you would hope that you have one that you could hide, right? Like feet, like hairy feet in First Class. For some reason, he's all bent out of shape because he can't show his feet.
The only reason I went there, DJ, I think it still is answering the question, because I think you would have to kind of figure out where you fell in the politics of it.
Oh yeah,
because in that universe, it's such a political thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Like if you're a mutant, you almost have to pick a platform. It's awful to say that, but like you almost would.
Yeah, and it's tough. Like, what do you want? Like, do you risk going to like? It might be safer at Xavier's school if you want to go there, but it also is like where everyone gets blown up every other weekend. So maybe you just play it safe somewhere else.
That building isn't standing half the time.
Yeah, go move to Oregon or Montana or somewhere where you can just lay low.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of situations where you'd have to try to hide it. And then I don't know what I would do if I was the sort of mutant that just couldn't hide my power and I couldn't control my power.
You would turn evil.
Then you get into dark places. It's like you either kill yourself or you go eat. Like it's hard not to think just real dark places when you get to that place. Like if you're a walking time bomb, what are you gonna do?
Exactly. Go off.
Oh, Kenji has a really great point, kind of validating what I'm saying. Mutants are definitely human because they can produce viable offspring with non-mutant people. That's an excellent point, because species can't reproduce with other species.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting story. to delve into.
I'm going to steal that and start using that as my argument for this, because this has always been a thing that bothers me. Anyway, all right, moving right along.
Mutale. What would you do if MCU Ego was your dad? Talk about a bad lot.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if I found out the same way that Star-Lord does in that movie, I don't know that I would do things all that differently. I mean, you know, you'd have to try to stop him from consuming the universe, and then get away from him, I guess. If you found out apart from that, and you didn't know that he had a big scary master plan, but you knew that he was a real bad dude that, you know, killed your mom and all that, you know, you'd have to decide if you were going to try to get some sort of retribution for that or just stay away from him. And then there's the question of, if that knowledge comes with that power, what do you do with that power? That's hard to answer. I don't know what I would do. It's another one of those things where it's like, what exactly is the circumstance?
Yeah, well, he says specifically MCU Ego, so I guess we have to just go by that movie.
Well, no, I know that, but I'm just saying. But even beyond that, how am I finding out about it? Like, am I exactly Star-Lord in that movie? Did I go to meet him? Like, I'm just saying, because the way you would handle that information is different depending on the situation.
Yeah.
So I'm not totally sure what I would do. But you know, it would give you. I mean, a lot of the answers to a lot of these questions are therapy. It seems like, and that you would have massive identity problems. You know?
Yeah, that sounds pretty rough. I guess just pretend to be his friend until he teaches you how to use the powers, and then...
Yeah. I'd stay away from Dairy Queen, that's for damn sure. Go to Waffle House, go to White Castle.
I haven't seen that movie since the theater, so I'm struggling to say anything that makes any sense, because I don't remember anything. I don't remember anything about it. Ryder...
I would use my powers to make Drax more in character.
Yes, do that. Ryder has a $2 super chat, and he's started using the acronym WWYD, which is nice.
That's smart.
WWYD, if you paid for a show and your fave lip syncs.
Oh man.
The worst. Weird Al is up there lip syncing.
I would ask questions first. I would try to figure out what the situation was.
Do you have laryngitis?
Yeah, exactly. Is he real sick, but he showed up anyway? I mean, I'd still be like, maybe it's better if you cancel the show. But if you find out that your favorite group was somehow always lip syncing and they were Milli Vanilli and they never played their own music, you'd be like, I would have a hard time still being a fan of that group. Or maybe I could still listen to their stuff, but just go, okay, they're not a performance band. Like, I mean, if you find out that they couldn't sing and it wasn't even their voices in the first place, it might be difficult to keep listening to them. You know, if you found out that like Michael Stipe from REM did not have a voice and someone else was singing all of his lyrics, but he still wrote everything, I'd have a weird relationship with them. I mean, it's not possible. Like, there's no way that happened. That was the first person that came to mind. I'm not trying to throw Michael Stipe under the bus, but you know what I mean? It would, it'd be hard to decide if you still wanted to be a fan of that group. That's a hilarious question, by the way.
You win, Ryder. Next one from Andrew, $4.99.
And it's still a question that can be answered with therapy. To a much lesser degree.
Less therapy sessions for that one.
Right.
Andrew gives us $4.99, says, WWYD, if you directed Batman Brave and the Bold, villains, setting, story.
Go. Yeah, well, and I guess I have to start from the place of knowing what they're doing in the first place. I can't just scrap everything, and be like, well, they said Brave and the Bold was going to be based on Morrison's Batman, but I don't want that, so I'm not doing that. I mean, I don't think you can exactly go all the way, but now I'm just speculating about what that movie's going to be. I was going to say, I don't think you can go all the way back to R.I.P., because it would be weird to introduce a Batman to sort of kill him. You probably don't want to do that. It's supposed to be looking real hard at Batman and Robin, but it's Morrison's Batman and Robin, but it's probably going to be Bruce Wayne and Damian, and not like Dick and Damian. It'd be really weird if they did that. Wouldn't it be really funny though if they introduced Dick Grayson and their Bruce was like everybody thought he was dead. That's how we introduced that world. That would be, I mean, Batman in that world. That'd be crazy.
Yeah. You would never want to, start a DC universe and immediately kill the superhero that starts it right away in a second film. That would be.
No, but this would be even weirder than that. This would be you killed him. You didn't even cast him. You killed him before the movie started. I'd be crazy. Austin says Clock King, Clock Store, clock-related crimes. That's Cap's real answer. Yeah, that's about right. Well, I was going to go to Clock King, naturally. Although I think that would be a good villain for that sort of movie. I mean, you want to do something a little bit lighter than what Reeves is doing, but with, kind of an edge to it. So it would definitely be more colorful. It would definitely be like a gray and blue suit, which I kind of imagine they're going to do anyway. But I'm having a hard time thinking of, without just scrapping everything, what little we know about that movie, I'm not sure what the pitch. Again, besides it being Clock King, I mean, it's hard not to say, like, well, as little Damian as humanly possible.
He dies before the movie starts.
Boy, I feel like I need time to think about this. I'm really not sure. I haven't given that a lot of thought because what little we know is not what I want, so I'm having a hard time. My imagination's not running away with itself with like, oh, here's all the cool things you can do with this. Like,
you would just make it a Batman movie based on Batman Brave and the Bold TV show.
Well, that would be weird in live action. I can't even. And then it's that Clock King, but he's got a giant clock for a head.
Exactly. He looks like a Power Rangers villain.
Yeah, that would be amazing. No, I mean, yeah, in a perfect world, I would have a Dick Grayson Robin, or a Tim Drake Robin. Yeah, this is difficult. I actually don't totally know what I would do with it.
You've stumped him.
Yeah, you have. I'm gonna have to give that some thought, but I want to move on, so I'm not spending too much time on questions. Go ahead, DJ.
All right. Real answer is he would make it about a cult leader and cast himself.
It would be called Batman Brave and the Bold, Desert Island. I'm gonna need therapy after that question. I can't even come up with anything interesting. Yeah, I'm just not sure what.
Strap in for this next one.
I mean, it being Damian, I would have a hard time not going to leave Assassins and Ra's al Ghul stuff, and it might be an interesting challenge to make it lighter with that stuff, and like not get too close to any live action versions of that character so far. But again, I don't know what it would be. Maybe actually I have a little bit of an idea now that I'm thinking about it. Maybe what you do is, because like I know what they want to look at Morrison's Batman, but maybe you go back to some of that early or 70s, I should say. Is it Denny O'Neil? The stuff with Hugo Strange. Because I've been wanting a Hugo Strange movie, and I think that might be the place to do them. And you could take a little bit from Arkham City, and you could actually have him secretly be in league with Ra's al Ghul. But it would be really funny if you did a big Ra's al Ghul reveal, because we did that in Begins. If you get to the third act, and it's like, oh, it was Ra's al Ghul was behind it the whole time. And then throw Knight and Squire in there for no reason. All right, moving right along.
All right. Mutale, what would you do if you were a psychopath?
Oh, well then. Wouldn't you like to know? Well, I would buy an island.
He didn't say if you were a rich psychopath.
And then
still you.
And then a cult would ensue. I don't know what I can say without getting in trouble. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what to say without like somebody misconstruing things and thinking that that I secretly fantasize about like doing something terrible or hurting someone. You know, because like, well, if you're a psychopath, You know, then like
this is a safe space.
You don't have empathy.
Immunity.
You don't.
I
don't trust that. I don't trust that at all. Because what I want to say, but I'm not saying this, is that I would kidnap Todd McFarlane. But I'm not going to say that.
You're gonna do a misery situation? You tie him to the bed and you force him to
I make him rewrite Spawn. No, I make him give me the rights to the damn character and let me do it this time. But I'm not saying
See, these
that's
are the kind of answers.
I'm
that
not
you
saying that though. I'm sorry. What'd you say, DJ?
These are the kind of answers we gotta be. This is great. This is good stuff. Keep going. Keep going.
Man, But see, I'm gonna get up tomorrow, and there's gonna be like people will be like Xing at McFarlane on X, and then it'll be like this guy is threatening you on YouTube. No, I'm not. I'm not threatening him.
We know.
No.
I mean, they know you here. These are your people.
If I was really crazy though, I would be more likely to be more of a masochist than I already am. And I would remake Spawn in its entirety because I know I could make it better. That's the other thing I would do. I'd do it second, though. After I did not kidnap Todd McFarlane, because I'm not saying that.
You did not say that, guys. You did not.
I did not. What do you mean if I was a psychopath? What do you mean? And I would also get a lot more tattoos. Like a lot more.
Yeah, so some people think you already are a psychopath.
Right. Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. I'm thinking about going ahead and getting the other Kryptonian script tattoo because there's almost no chance that the baby won't be a girl and that we won't name it what we're going to name it. But on the off chance that we don't, it might be a little risky to do it now. But I'm thinking about going ahead and getting it done. Cinematographic. Oh, hi, Todd.
I really want to see that movie now. That's what's going to be in Superhero Rewind the movie, right? Spawn Year, the sequel, should be that. Just a misery type situation.
Look, I can't divulge anything about the movie. And the other thing I would see, all I can think of is masochistic stuff. You know, you think psychopath, I got no empathy for myself. I would just be more like that already. And I would do like multiple 24-hour streams in a row. Like I would just knock out Smallville in like 6 days. This is not true psychopathic behavior. I can't come up with like real answers because I don't know how to answer that without sounding like really dark and hideous.
Well, I don't even want to hear what you would do to like Paramount, Discovery.
Oh God.
You would.
Yeah.
You'd take out the whole studio.
I didn't even think of that. Yeah, it would start with a party where we would like burn every physical copy of those shows we could find. That'd be the first thing. We'd burn down stores that had them. No, see, I can't say anything without just sounding horrible.
There's nothing wrong with it because a psychopath is what you would do if you had no inhibitions, but you have those inhibitions, so you're not like, I don't think that's anything wrong with that.
I'm playing this up. Okay, moving right. Austin Cap is a psychopath. He just works more. You know, it's funny you say that because despite the fact that I streamlined things on the channel and I'm only ostensibly streaming 3 days a week now, except I occasionally will sneak another one in there, Jason and I are talking about starting another show.
Oh, no.
We are. I'm not going to tell you what yet, but we're talking about it. Partly because there aren't movies that are going to be coming out for a while, and I'm never going to have How We Felt About, so I'm like, maybe there should be another thing. So I don't know. We have a thing I've wanted to do for like 15 years, DJ.
Oh,
and I've already told Austin about it.
It's a They Might Be Giants podcast. Oh,
well, So we started that, and we didn't continue. That's actually the other reason, though, that he and I are talking about doing a more regular show. That's not just that Jason wants to talk about thing. That's actually a more planned thing. It would be reviews. I'll tell you that. I don't think I'm reviewing enough on the channel right now. That's part of it. But I'm trying not to, give myself too much work, so I'm trying to be careful about it. But he and I were going to do that regular Team BG podcast, and we shot a pilot and one more episode for it, and we got it started. We posted some of it on Spotify, but Jason wasn't real comfortable with it. Like, just that kind of a show. He wasn't sure how to talk about music. And he had a lot of background and a bunch of cool tidbits and things I didn't know about Team BG. But after we did a couple episodes, he was like, I don't know how much more I have to say, though. And it was supposed to be a show where we listened to music and then we discussed it, and it was like kind of music listening show. Neither of us are music guys. Like, we don't play music, and I don't think that's necessarily a prerequisite to talk about it. But it was making us both a little bit self-conscious, and you don't want to both be like that.
Yeah, no, of course.
Like, I was muddling my way through it. I think it would have gotten pretty good, but I don't know. Jason didn't seem real comfortable with it. I just felt like we could come up with a topic that he would be more, I don't know, happy to do.
Austin says, "What do you mean? Expendables comes out tomorrow."
Oh yeah, that's true. I don't need to review that. I haven't seen the other two after the first one, and there's no way that's good, right?
I don't know. I haven't seen any of them.
It sure doesn't look like it's going to be great, but I don't know. I guess it could be. Austin, if everyone's expendable, no one is. That is true. Okay, what? I don't know what the show is. What else do we have, DJ?
I think that might be the one example of that phrase that actually doesn't make sense.
Let's break this down. If everyone is expendable, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. Everybody would still be expendable. Yeah. It doesn't make you suddenly important.
Because you're with a bunch of other losers.
Yeah, exactly.
Noah O, what would you do if you met the Tick?
It's weird. Somebody's actually asked me this question before. I would just listen to him talk because it would be endlessly hilarious and fascinating.
Speaking of psychopaths.
Yeah.
You would just take down notes so you could answer that last question.
He's a really lovable psychopath, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and there's always that question of, like, is the Tick a psychopath or does he just have amnesia?
Expendables has 18% Rotten Tomatoes rating.
I'm shocked. But yeah, I would just listen to talk. I would just follow him around and watch him fight crime.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't want to live with him though. But
no,
you could be like the third wheel.
Well, I would make a documentary about him. Actually, I have a concrete answer to that. I would interview him and I would make a documentary about him. That's what I would do. Because I want to do that anyway. But now he's a real person, so I would have someone to interview. Fantastic.
Finally, get your documentary made.
I don't think it would be that hard to get him to talk on camera, judging by the animated series episode Heroes, which is like Cops, but it's called Heroes. Episode's great.
5590 ERS. What would you do if you were the Hulk?
Oh man, these are hard.
We travel from town to town.
I'm never doing this topic again. By the way, these are hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's the same answer as the immortal question, right?
Yeah,
you'd go get an island.
Town.
No, I'm kidding.
Get a kick-ass piano theme to follow you around.
A really somber, yeah. And you get stuck in your head, it would drive you insane. It's like, why do I have to be the Hulk now? I just got da 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 da.
Yeah. And then it would turn into what would you do if you're a psychopath because of the music. I mean, David Banner's got it pretty good. He's meeting new friends all the time. Women are falling in love with him every town he goes to.
That's true. That's true. No, it would be a lonely existence. That's why the theme is called The Lonely Man.
He met that old Hulk one time in that one cool episode.
I wouldn't wear purple shorts.
No. You got to wear bell bottoms because he was always wearing some rockin' bell bottoms.
I mean, I love the color purple, but you know,
No, you
you'd
don't wear
stand-
shorts. You
you'd
wear
s-
pants and they tear into shorts.
Oh, that's a good
Perfectly.
point. Yeah, pardon me. I'm sorry. I'm off my game tonight. I can't remember the difference between shorts and pants.
Well, it's close.
You know, they look like shorts when he gets big. You wonder how, as the Hulk, he's even got pants on still. You'd think he just rip all the way through them.
You've only started wearing shorts, recently since you got tattoos, so
That's
you're
a
new
good
to
point.
it still.
I've worn them all summer, and it's been kind of a surreal experience, you know?
I'm telling you, man.
I mean, apparently I don't even know the difference, so maybe I'm wearing pants. I don't know. But,
You could get the zip-off ones, and then you could,
it just seems
whichever.
like you'd be a little conspicuous having, like, bright purple pants.
Yeah. Well, he was lab. That was the lab coat. Like, I mean, that was what scientists wore back then. They had a white lab coat and purple pants. Look at the lizard.
But yeah, in all seriousness, if there's any reason for us to do that, you wouldn't be able. It would be like being immortal again. Like, you wouldn't really be able to cultivate long-term relationships. You couldn't really settle down with anybody. I think it'd be hard to not just do what Bruce Banner does sometimes. Like in the first Marvel movie, and just, like, you know, hole yourself off. You know, you like go off on an island and live by yourself and not really be around people very much because you're afraid that the other guy comes out and hurts people, or that you get, you know, chased by the military. I mean, the first step is don't date a girl in the military. I think that's the first thing. Don't do that.
I feel like I would be pretty good at it. I get angry so rarely, and I've never been in a fight like ever in my life.
Is that your secret? My secret is I don't get angry. You know, we know you've got a Hulk in there. How come we never see him? Because I don't know, poke me with a sharp stick. I don't care.
I'm just a chill dude, man. I don't know
You
why
are.
Bruce Banner's getting in fights with people all the time.
Meanwhile, no, you know what the real answer is? If it's me, because I haven't been answering some of these right. I haven't been thinking enough like Captain Logan. I would have. What's that?
That's the problem. You're not thinking like yourself.
Well, no, what I mean is I think I've been answering some of these a little bit too generically, where it's like, realistically, what would I do? Well, I would do what everybody would do. No, I would have a 20 million subscriber YouTube channel because everybody would want to see me Hulk out on camera, because I am not a chill dude like you, and it doesn't take as much to set me off like it does you. Now, I don't mean that I'm just like, you know, a powder keg about to explode, but like, I can have a little bit of a temper. So there would probably be moments that something kind of pisses me off on camera that I'm able to, you know, keep it at bay, and nobody notices it, because, you know, I'm doing my thing, and I'm not gonna lose my temper and go crazy, right? But then if you got a Hulk in you, you know, then he comes out, and then it's friggin' entertaining. You know,
Yeah.
It's like, let's see if Cap loses his cool and then his equipment tonight.
Yeah,
And
I was gonna say, instead of growing out of his pants, he grows out of his headphones every show. And
that would be the whole point of Patreon. Is just to pay for your production machine and your camera and your microphone every time. That'd be the whole point of it. No, people tune in just to see if you wreck your house.
That'd be a good. Hey, I'd watch it. That'd be a good show.
Hulk can't play.
Hulk can't stream.
Hulk can't stream. Austin DJ is Hulk. He's just never gotten angry. He's like Bishop in the 1800s. He just never even found out that he was a mutant, because nobody ever shot particle beams at him.
Oh yeah, that'd be such a bummer.
Thomas Lowe, what is your secret, Cap? What can tick you off? Like, I'm gonna answer that. It's not in the format. I don't have to.
Yeah, put another one in so he has to reveal his secrets.
No. What would you do if I asked you this question, Colin? Hot Soup Hulk review channel. I'd watch it. I'll have to get out the Mountain Dew face paint again from Spawn Year. Remember when I did green face? Everybody called it green phase.
Oh no.
They were like, Cap, that Mountain Dew episode was racist. That was offensive to green-faced people. And I was like, I'm sorry.
There's a lot of green people. There's a green Star Trek race. There's Gamora.
Yeah.
Drax is supposed to be green, but he's not.
There's a lot more blue Star Trek races, weirdly, than green ones. Because, yeah, you have the Orions. And I think there's maybe, you know, a couple more. But, like, there's actually a lot of blue races.
There's a lot of blue mutants, too.
That's true. Some of them are related. Alex Barron, just make him watch Picard. Boom, angry cap. Speaking of masochism, I still kicked around doing that show, where I go through New Trek and just try really hard not to blow my brains out on camera.
No, make it an After Dark show and just go all out and just scream at the screen. That'd be great.
This is gonna sound awful, but like it wouldn't be worth it if it didn't grow Patreon at least a little bit.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't know how big
like I don't know if enough people would want to show up for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've kicked it around. I don't know how far in I could get. I couldn't prepare for it. I couldn't bring myself to. I would have to just react to it as I was watching it. I would be too livid if I watched it ahead of time and then came in and was like, all right, we're freaking doing this. Get ready. And, you know, I've never wanted to be like an angry, screamy YouTube channel. You know, do that whole thing.
Well, you just said you wanted to be the Hulk.
Should I make that one exception?
Yeah, of course. I'm here to support you in everything you do. That's my role here.
I'm gonna make you mod it.
We can't take. Well, I guess we could take super chats. It would just be a.
Oh, hi, Victor. It's good to see you, man. Hey, let's answer Victor's real quick because he said he's just hopping in and maybe he's gonna leave right away. So can we do his and then go backwards? Because
sure. Victor Herman,
nice enough to leave a super chat, just coming right in. Yeah, thanks, man.
What would you do if you woke up one day and you were the only person in the world who remembered Spawn?
I would confuse people because I would have to constantly remind myself that nobody knows what Spawn Year is.
Don't tell me it didn't happen.
I watched it happen. I was there. And that would be weird because it was 2 years of my life. And then people would think I was a crazy person. Or I'd be like, here's the worst thing ever. But, you know, it wouldn't be like being the only person that remembered the Beatles. You know that movie? Where, like, the guy...
That movie.
What's that?
I did see that movie.
I never did, but I know the premise of it because I remember seeing
Yesterday?
the preview. Yeah, Yesterday, that's what it was called. I wanted to see it, and then people told me it wasn't great, so I never bothered with it. But
it was fine.
Okay, maybe I'll try it.
I mean, it wasn't like amazing or anything, but it was a fun little.
Based on your milquetoast reaction, I will take a look at that movie.
Throwaway, like I imagine if you're a bigger Beatles fan, you probably get more out of it than I did.
But it wouldn't be Code Geass. Picard is a genuinely great show. We can move on. We can just agree to disagree. That if I ever make that show, just do yourself a favor and don't watch that show, Code Geass. Anyway, just don't. You'll have better things to do, I promise. So with all due respect, that's great if you enjoyed it. You will not enjoy whatever I would do if I made that show. Anyways, what was I? Spawn. So it wouldn't be like the Beatles thing where like you go, oh cool, I can capitalize this. On this. I'm the only person that knows Spawn, so I'll make... Or maybe that's what I would do, but I'd make it good this time. You know? It'd be like my answer to that other question.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to find out how different this is than our world, because he doesn't say it never happened. He says if you're the only person that remembered Spawn.
Yeah, everybody else has just had collective amnesia. Todd McFarlane is pumping out action figures. Everybody's like, who the hell are these people? That's fantastic. So yeah, I don't know if I was the only person that remembered it, and I lived in a world where there just was not Spawn, I might try to create it myself, but do it really well this time, or try to. Otherwise, it would just kind of not affect me that much, except that I would remember these 2 years of my life where I made a really cool thing based on a really terrible thing.
That would be soul crushing if you spent that much time on it and nobody remembered it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just like the plight of an artist, I guess.
I mean, it's a weird thing to think of as a big part of your legacy.
Yeah, if that part of your legacy was just removed.
Yeah. Oh, so devastating. This thing that like 2,000 people watched no longer exists.
It might be more interesting to think about like if Geekvolution was just erased. That would be devastating.
Yeah, like on the whole. Well, just because it was 14 years of my life. I mean,
yeah. Whew.
It would make a decision for me. I'd be like, well, there's some other things I want to do. I guess I'll go do those now. But
go buy that island, start that cult.
But then, you know, I wouldn't have an already developed platform. I'd have to start over.
Yeah, that'd be a bummer.
Alex Barron, you know Spawnier actually drove you crazy. Yes, exactly.
All right, shall we go on?
Yes, please.
Mutale, what would you do
Yeah.
if you became a cyborg like RoboCop?
Yeah, I haven't been using the gong tonight, but last time I brought that out, I almost destroyed equipment. So my Blu-ray player is fine, by the way. Thank you for asking.
Oh, cool. You tested it out?
Oh yeah, I mean I've been using it all week, and actually ever since then, and this wasn't the reason, but we've actually now mounted the projector, which I've been wanting on the ceiling, which I've been wanting to do forever. And Brandon came over. He's been planning to put that together for me, so I didn't figure out a way to do it myself because he had an idea of how he wanted to do it, and he's been, you know, for a long time he's been saying we were going to do it. We never got to it. So he surprised me. We made plans to hang out on Saturday, and Saturday or Sunday, and he surprised me by bringing all the equipment over. And we went ahead and mounted it. So that stuff's all off my desk now, so I can't, there's nothing to ruin over here anymore, which is good.
Oh, that's awesome.
But anyway, if I was a cyborg like RoboCop, that would either be also a very entertaining YouTube channel or a really boring YouTube channel. I'm not sure which way that would go.
Yeah, what would you do on a YouTube channel?
And then if it's not like...
It would just be like cops. You would just have a camera on you at all times.
Yeah, you just walk around with a GoPro in your head.
Which I think you should do anyway. I'd love to see a cap cam.
Oh, sure. Well, you say that now, and then I do it, and you're like, oh, your life is kind of boring, actually. I'd go around reviewing people as a robot. Like that, like I'd be Captain Logan, but I would review human beings with a GoPro. And I would just be like
the Twilight episode of Geeks Not Nerds.
I'd be like cold and emotionless and heartless, and I would just tell people like exactly what I thought of them.
You can't kick me out of this Toys R Us. The camera is part of me. I'm being discriminated against as a cyborg.
For being a cyborg. But yeah, I mean, if it wasn't actually the RoboCop situation and I was still able to live at home and I just didn't have most of my original body, it'd be pretty awkward to, like, be a dad and a husband. That'd be weird. You know, if you're a cyborg, but, like, you couldn't feel anything, that'd be pretty weird. And depressing and sad.
Yeah, well, I guess it depends on which part of you is human and which part of you is cyborg.
Yeah, that's true, too. It's also difficult for the What Would You Do show to not turn into an After Dark program. We got 10 minutes left in the show. Do we have any more Super Chats, or are we on to regular stuff?
We have 3 left.
Oh, wow, okay.
At the moment, 3 left.
Well, let's do that.
We got one from Hot Soup, $4.99. Another sci-fi one here. What would you do if you woke up tomorrow on a spaceship on its way to colonize another planet? Your life up to that point was a simulation.
Oh. How long would it take me to accept that?
Well, you're such a big Matrix fan, you'd probably accept it.
I don't think it would take me very long. I feel like I would get, yeah. In fact, I would feel really gullible when it turned out that it was a simulation inside of a simulation, right? I'd be like, oh, I accepted that too quickly. We're like the simulation breaks down and you find out that was actually the simulation and your real life is your real life, and then you go, oh man, I'm so gullible. I feel stupid now. That's what would, yeah, I would accept it too quickly probably.
Well, yeah, I don't think it would be hard to accept it if that was shown proof, but it would be very hard to come to terms with it. I would be so sad if I never, if my wife and kids were
kids again, yeah,
nothing.
No, that'd be
I'd
awful.
be like, send me back in, please. I will gladly take the pill.
Oh yeah, you'd be Cypher. Absolutely. You'd
Except
go.
not a scum.
I know this steak isn't real, but I want steak. Damn it.
But I'm just zero. I'm just like protons and electrons that have, you know, things that need
companionship. And yeah, I think you're absolutely right, though. I think it would be difficult not to want to somehow go back into the simulation. Because it would be different than finding out that you'll never see your wife and kids again. You'd find out that they didn't even exist. And, like, that's your whole world.
But that's not an option. We can't go
That's
back in. He
depressing.
says we're going to another planet to colonize it.
Well, I mean, I don't know what you do, but just cope. I mean, again, the answer is therapy, I guess.
Space therapy.
You'd hope that you developed any skills from sitting in a chair rambling about things.
Yeah, what is the? I've only seen The Matrix once with you. Like,
Yeah.
what is the solution why his body works and he can actually walk even though he has been dormant for
That's
decades?
The answer was acupuncture.
Oh, they just poked his muscles around so they didn't atrophy?
No, they rebuild them.
Oh, interesting.
They put pins. It's a montage, so I understand why you don't remember it. But
Yeah.
they put pins. For a minute, I didn't either. They put pins all over his body, and then Morpheus has a piece of exposition where he says that his muscles are being rebuilt. So they do actually deal with that.
Okay.
And
But,
they have the whole thing where he opens his eyes. And he asks Morpheus why his eyes hurt, and Morpheus says, because you've never used them before. They think about all that.
yeah.
And you can argue that, he should have needed more time for rehabilitation and all of that, but I mean, it's also a heightened
it's a
science
movie.
fiction movie. Yeah, it's a movie.
Yeah, you don't want to watch him be in therapy for 2/3 of the movie.
But it's nice that there's a bit of a ticking time bomb for the conflict of the movie, and so
No, it's nice that they addressed it, even if it's not accurate. Obviously, it's still
perfectly
it works.
realistic. Yeah,
Yeah, it works in the movie.
but they're thinking.
Yeah, I'd just be fascinated to know what muscle memory would you have? Would you still have the muscle memory in your brain that you I guess, does it work exactly the same in the simulation as it does in real life? Would you still be able to do all the skills you had? It'd be really interesting.
No, that's a great question. But given the fact that you can be downloaded with skills that you never have to practice, and the muscle memory, as it were, is just built into your brain, so your body parts already know what to do. Maybe that's not a consideration.
Yeah, and they can just give it to you.
Thomas Lowcap, you did a bungee jump for your 10,000 subscribers. I did not. I skydove. I jumped out of an airplane. What will you do for 50,000? Well, not bungee jump. I'm scared to death to do that. Isn't that weird? I don't mind jumping out of a plane. I'm afraid of bungee jumping. I would never do that.
Well, you have to do that by yourself.
Yeah, and it's just the bouncing back up, kind of freaks me out.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what the hit feels like. I don't know if that's.
It's a bungee cord, so it slows down. It doesn't just go snap you. But I don't even know if I'd do the skydiving. I thought you're brave for even doing that.
Yeah, and that I would do again maybe, because I didn't have the best experience with it the first time. But I also know it would take my ears 3 days to recover from it again, and I don't know if I want to put up with that.
Oh, interesting. See, my ears take a night. Every time I fly, my ears are messed up and they won't pop for I have to wait until the next day before they finally get back to normal. So that would probably kill my ears.
I have the same thing you do. Yeah, I didn't realize we had that in common. Yeah, it took longer with that because I was in the air so much longer. Sorry, because I was in the free air outside of a plane so much longer, and also, there was kind of the winds were too high, where it was very nearly too dangerous to jump, and they actually grounded the planes after we jumped, so it was more painful to do that than it should have been.
Did they tell you before you jumped? Because that must have been horrifying.
No. And I thought it was normal. I thought I just, because I don't travel well, so I figured I was just taking it hard. And I couldn't breathe until, in the free fall, until the chute opened. And then I just spent the whole time coming down recovering. I couldn't enjoy it at all. And then when we landed, I was like, God, that hurt. I mean, it was really hard. And the guy went, oh yeah, the winds were, and of course he was a professional skydiver, so it wasn't difficult for him. He was used to it. And he goes, oh yeah, the winds were bad and they're grounding the planes now. And I was like, well, I mean, I guess I'm sort of glad I got to go and I didn't have to sit around and wait. But at the same time, it probably took longer to recover because of that. And I didn't feel like I got the right experience with it. So I did that, 11, 12 years ago now. And I've considered going again. And I'm in a lot better shape now. I've been training and stuff. So maybe
Get us to 40,000, guys. So
Maybe around now is the time to do it. To actually answer the question, and I know it wasn't a what would you do thing, but it was a fun self-indulgent thing to answer. So I did. I'm going to. I don't know what I would do for 50,000, but I don't think I'll ever get there. Not to be cynical about it, but I just we don't grow at any kind of rate these days, really, and I'm all live stream, and it's harder to build a channel like that, and I've come to terms with that because a lot of it is just, I mean, I've talked about this before, but first of all, I really love the live stream thing, and I've kind of become a little bit addicted to it, but also it's what I've got time to do. I really don't have time to do a lot of editing and stuff, and I've made too many. I don't want to say too many because it's going to make people think there's all these things laying around that you guys should get to see, but I've made videos every now and again that I just didn't get around to finishing, that I never posted, and I hate that, and I don't want to do that anymore. So, or take months to finally get them done and post them, and anyway. So I don't know. I don't mean to be lazy, but I've had to go to a kind of a podcast place, and it's maybe more difficult to continue building the audience that way. I mean, we still get new folks on, and we had a good stint of about 3 months there where we were building at a way better rate than we had in a long time, but it leveled off.
Shall we move on?
Yes, we are actually right at 2 hours because I can't stop talking. So yeah, let's go ahead and write out with the last couple super chats and maybe one more pre-written if we can get it knocked out.
All right, Andrew, back again with another $4.99. WWYD, if Bullseye challenged you to a bar fight.
I would run screaming. I mean, I don't think I'd be able to make him miss. And then if I did, he'd just get more pissed. So you're not going to win that. Also, Bullseye wouldn't challenge you to a bar fight. He would just throw something at you and you would be dead.
Yeah, he'd challenge you to a game of darts, maybe.
Well, and then you'd just be looking over your shoulder, right? Because you don't know if the dart is going to go in you or the dartboard. Yeah,
or the peanut's going to go in your throat.
Yeah, I mean, Bullseye challenges you to anything, and that's terrifying. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's a fight or
horseshoes,
Monopoly. I mean, I'd be terrified no matter what it was.
What's that hacky sack game? That's
hacky
all
sack?
About accuracy. What is that called?
I don't know.
It's like a tournament with the national sport cornhole. Challenge Bullseye to a cornhole match.
Challenge Bullseye to bobbing for apples. I mean, could you imagine playing Monopoly with Bullseye? Could you imagine all the different things he could do with, like, the thimble and
No, you'd have to play Clue with
dog.
him. You play Clue with him, and he actually uses the little weapons to kill you.
To actually kill you? It was Bullseye in the bar with the tiny rope. He made me choke on the tiny rope. That's hilarious.
I should watch Clue again. It's fall season now. We should watch that. I've been trying to watch fall movies. Let me know in the comments what your favorite fall movies are, guys. I've been trying to get in the fall mood. All right, Mitale.
What is a fall movie? Because I have a hard time not just thinking about, like, Halloween stuff. Like, what is a fall movie?
That's the trick, man. I'm doing a top 10 fall movies with a friend of mine. We did summer movies a while back because he wrote a book for TCM called Summer Movies, and now he wants to do fall movies. So I'm trying to think, but I want them to be not Halloween movies, but still fall movies. And there's a few. There's a few, but it's tougher.
Yeah,
definitely tougher than summer movies for sure.
Boy, yeah, nothing immediately comes to me. There's not that obvious fall movie that's not a horror film or a Halloween thing. Because you just want something that's set in the fall that puts you in the mood for that season. Immediately my mind goes to, like, where are the romantic films that are set in the fall?
Well,
right?
Harry Met Sally is the big one.
Okay.
Dan in Real Life is one of my favorite movies that is also a very fall movie that's about a family reunion, and they're all out in the woods in a cabin. That's all, and it's very fall-y. One of the big ones that I just watched is The Trouble with Harry, which is a Hitchcock film, which is like the most fall movie I've ever seen, but I wish I liked it more.
Oh,
I didn't
okay.
love it that much. It's like Hitchcock's comedy. It's really weird. There's no suspense in it at all. But it's all shot in Vermont in the woods, and it's just like beautiful autumnal scenery everywhere. But it's just not that great. But I wish I liked it more because I'd love to watch it every year in fall.
Austin says Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is the quintessential Thanksgiving movie.
Yeah, that's true. But that's another thing. That's a Thanksgiving movie.
Well, why doesn't that go? Oh, you're trying to get away from holidays.
Well, no, I mean, I guess that would count. But that's also like Thanksgiving is the point where I start getting into Christmas territory, start getting into winter, especially because there's snow everywhere. It feels more like winter, even though it's not technically, but
It depends on where you live, but yeah, that's true.
yeah,
Speaking of Thanksgiving this year, are we gonna finally do our Friends marathon? Because we've talked about doing that forever.
yeah. Do a Friday night and just watch all the Thanksgiving episodes. That would
Well,
be an interesting thing for Geekvolution.
yeah, I mean, yeah, but we've talked about it. It wouldn't have to be on any that close to Thanksgiving, but maybe in that month.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. We've talked about it. I've always wondered like if anybody would show up for it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much. I don't know that Venn diagram of your
And
audience
then what
and
would we
friends.
even? It's 75 viewers, but if that. Okay. Anything else? We are past 2 hours.
Last super chat of the night is from Vitali. What WWYD
Yeah.
if you met Skylar White after the events of BB?
Oh wow. That is a
For a hug?
person. No, that is a person I could not bring myself to talk to. Because because as much as I want to feel bad for her, I like she's intentionally somewhat unlikable, and I would have very complicated feelings toward that person. Like I think a lot of people in that universe do when they find out, what her husband did. Like she's a victim certainly, but I mean she also made a lot of mistakes with all of that. And I mean it's I guess what I mean is it would be really difficult not to be judgmental, and so you just wouldn't want to talk to her because like she's taken enough of that. So, I wouldn't be good at consoling her, so I wouldn't want to talk to her. So I wouldn't go to her car wash, that's for sure. Because that'd be really awkward. And she'd be like, have an A1 day. And I'd be like, all right.
You just blackmail her. You'd be like, I know you have all this money, so give me this much, or I'm gonna tell the authorities you have drug money. Everybody's just talking about whether they like Friends.
Whether
or
they
not
like
at
Friends
this
or
point.
not, yeah. Yeah, Austin, I get it. You don't like Friends. I wasn't inviting you to that stream. No, my name is Skylar White, yo.
I totally understand anyone who doesn't like Friends.
Yeah,
I
me
think
too.
You had to grow up with it.
That's it.
But that's any sitcom, basically.
That's probably true. Well, and past a certain generation, I feel like a lot of people just can't even deal with laugh tracks.
Yeah.
I feel like I was in maybe about the last generation where people were cool with a lot of laugh tracks.
Yeah, for sure. I grew up with them, kind of. I mean, I didn't have much TV growing up, but the TV that I did see had laugh tracks.
Yeah. You want to do one more?
Sure. Let me go back to some the pre-writtens at the beginning and see if we can get a good one here.
Sorry, I know we're past time, but I didn't feel like we did enough pre-written. And I've been wordying all over the place, and I give my performance like a C tonight, I think. Like, if I was doing a tier ranking of Captain Logan shows, this one would be in the C slot.
Let's see what you can do with this one.
All right.
Daniverse.
Let's see if I can redeem
What
myself here.
What would you do if there was suddenly a dancing hippo in your home?
I'd ask if it was hungry. Hungry.
Oh man, that'd be horrible. A hungry dancing hippo? You don't want one of those, that's for sure.
See, that's a new variation on that game that is it Milton Bradley, whoever owns that, needs to make it. It's hungry dancing hippos.
Have you ever played the big not life size hippos, but hungry hippos? That's like the arcade where you sit on them.
No.
You push them down like giant TNT blasters. Like it's really weird.
That's awesome.
They have one of those at the arcade, the bowling alley that we go to. And
I have
like
not seen
four
that.
of them. There's 4 of them, and you all sit on it, and you're like, this big heavy metal thing that's like chomping and actually grabbing the balls. It's very.
I
very
do
strange.
that one time.
Yeah, I think it's for kids, but.
Well, sure, but I still would. Yeah, if there was a dancing hippo in my house, I would call the police, unless it was like very friendly and talked. If it was just dancing and ignoring me, and then it's like, what's its taste in music? Like, did it turn the music on? Is it dancing to no music? Like,
is it dancing with your son? I mean, your son could have a dancing hippo companion that would dance with him. That's how you get to 50,000.
Oh, that's a really good point. Yeah, except the thing that got you to 50,000 is the thing you should do for getting to 50,000.
Dance with the
when we hit 50,000, we're gonna have a dancing hippo in our house and make a video about it. That's what got you there, though. You know, at one time in my, I didn't finish answering that earlier. At one time in my life, the answer of like big milestone, like what's the next crazy thing you can do after jumping out of a plane? At one time in my life, it might have been getting a tattoo, and now I have 11. It's not even a big deal anymore. So
that's true. Well, if you Google dancing hippo, the first thing that pops up is a YouTube video with 3.2 million views.
Wow.
And it is an animated purple hippo dancing, and it's the most pixelated video I've ever seen. It's clearly in 240p. Everybody go watch this video and get it more views.
Were they yeah, so it must be like 115 years old, right?
It is 17 years ago.
There you go. Yeah. So like the age of YouTube.
So it's been done. It's been done. We can't do it.
Yeah.
Oh, he's wearing a sumo wrestling diaper thing. That was
okay. Hilarious. I would have thought that the first thing that would come up would have been something from Fantasia.
2000, right? That's from Fantasia 2000. Yeah.
Oh, is that right? I thought there were dancing. I thought there were dancing hippos in the original Fantasia.
Maybe so. I know there's the crocodiles and hippos and no. I'm not thinking of Fantasia. You're right.
Yeah, dancing hippos is the original Fantasia.
Once Upon a Christmas.
Am I in Crazy World? Like, did I just wake up in the Twilight Zone? The only thing that changed, there's still Spawn, but no dancing hippos in Fantasia. That was the sequel.
No, I was thinking of Twice Upon a Christmas. There's a Minnie and Daisy short that's hippos and crocodiles dancing on ice, which I hate. Don't like that Twice Upon a Christmas animation. It's terrible.
Sometimes I've never seen that. Sometimes these dimensions once removed are very strange, with just the one little thing that changes. All right. Well, that's an odd thing to end on, but there we go. Dancing hippos. Hungry dancing hippos. Thanks a lot for watching, folks. Hope you enjoyed tonight's edition of whatever this was. The Captain Logan Show, ? Maybe?
I'd call it a success. It was great. A lot of people coming out of the woodwork that we don't usually talk to, so success.
Oh, yeah. No, it was nice to hear from folks that don't always comment. But
I'm sorry you're not, you're upset about your performance, but I think you did great.
Oh, well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. You can fill out the card thing later if you want to, but I'm gonna ask that nobody else does that because I don't think my ego can take it. But anyway, I'll be back again tomorrow night, and hopefully we make a better video then for the Superhero Rewind Commentary Project. We're going to do X2 and the Daredevil Director's Cut. We're going to do them back to back, and we'll try to start as close to right on time as possible. So pop in and watch those with us if you're so inclined. And in the meantime, I was Captain Logan, and this was DJ Martinez. Appreciate you guys. Later, folks.